Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and despite the games you see here on the table, this video is really about Elder Scrolls Betrayal of a Second Era from Chip Theory Games. Elder Scrolls is currently on GameFound, just over $2 million raised, and people are very excited about it. And over the next few weeks, I'm sure in one video or another, I'll be telling you all the reasons I'm excited, all the reasons I want it, all the reasons I'm backing it, and that is all true. But I also like to temper out my hype and excitement sometimes, especially when your starting price point is $230. Yes, I know you can technically get it for like $185 or whatever it is, but if you want the gameplay all in, the first expansion, the base game, is going to run you $230, and so I thought, before we dive into other videos of should you back it, or me talking about the game, or maybe another first impressions, I don't really know, before we dive into all that, let's talk about what $230 worth of board games looks like. Because that's this. This is $230 worth of board games. I decided to go over to Gamenerdz. This video is not sponsored by Gamenerdz. Definitely not sponsored by Chip Theory Games. Chip Theory Games, you know I love you. I have to balance things out. But this video is not sponsored by Gamenerdz, but I went to Gamenerdz, one of my favorite sites to buy games from, and I put together a shopping cart of $230 worth of games to try to have a conversation around what games I'd recommend if you are picking between the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of a Second Era or alternatively another shopping list full of games that I can recommend instead, not because it's not good, but because this is a lot of good as opposed to one big thing of good. Well, this is what I put together. These games are all in stock over on Gamenerdz. I'll throw links down below. I should really throw Amazon affiliate links down below, but honestly, that would ruin the price point, so nope, you're not going to get the full-on Gamenerdz links down below. Links to Gamenerdz to buy these games if you want them. They were all in stock when I put this video together. I cannot guarantee they're in stock now, but hopefully they still are, and this is what $230 worth of games looks like. And we're going to go through these, and I tried to pick a nice assortment of things. I did not try to pick the cheapest things on the table. I did avoid high-priced items, so for example, we definitely have Lost Ruins of Arnak over Dune Imperium for two reasons. One is I prefer Lost Ruins of Arnak, and two is because it's like $15 cheaper, so that lets me buy, you know, Radlands with $17.97 for this one, so you can get this and Arnak, or you can get Dune Imperium. We will go through each of these games. I tried to have a good assortment. I wanted solo play. I wanted multiple players. I barely have a party game. I do have the crew. Arguably, I should have thrown Codenames in the cart. I forgot to look for a price on Codenames, so I'm sorry about that. I just kind of went through a bunch of popular games, trying to get a good assortment of genres, of player counts, of styles, in order to give you a good mix of, honestly, this is a good starting collection. You can start your collection with the Elder Scrolls at $230. Free shipping is included on the Elder Scrolls, by the way, but then again, free shipping is included on this order as well, because you're over the $75 or $100 threshold that they have. And so let's go into these games. Let's have a conversation. At the end, I'll talk about some small adjustments you can make depending on exactly how much you're looking to spend. Starting off with the Lost Ruins of Arnak. The Lost Ruins of Arnak is currently $37.97 over on Gamenerdz. Now, I do recommend the expansion, and I do think you should get that. But let's start off with the base game. Make sure you like it first. The expansion will run you another $20 or so, which would remove a game. You could, again, remove Radlands and be fine. But alternatively, depends what you want to get over there. You can mix and match. You can proxy. But the Lost Ruins of Arnak is, I believe, my number 4th game of all time in 2022. In 2022, it was my 4th highest game of all time. I've enjoyed this game. I've played this game like 30 plus times this year. I've played it with the expansion, without the expansion. I've played it solo. I have not yet played with the campaign. I've enjoyed this game at a variety of player counts in a variety of ways. I've played it in person. I've played it online. And looking forward to the new expansion they have coming, the cooperative expansion plus two new characters. I think Lost Ruins of Arnak is one of the better games out there in production, in art, in general gameplay. I will say at about 50 games deep into it, I do think I am running into repetitive cycles, but that's primarily the base game. When you have the expansion, that changes up the whole conversation again, and you're back to having a ton of variety, plus the new expansion coming as well. Lost Ruins of Arnak, $37.97. Then we have the crew for $10.97. I cannot believe the crew is only $10.97. I will give a caveat here. The crew Mission Deep Sea currently sold out on Gamenerdz. The crew, the Quest for Planet 9, is available. I do recommend Mission Deep Sea first, though. I do recommend this as being the better game, but if you are shopping on the Gamenerdz right now, this one's not available. You'll have to get the other one. They are both very good. I think they are both incredible. I just think the Mission Deep Sea is just strictly better from an already amazing game. This is a trick-taking experience in which you are trying to cooperatively work to accomplish tricks together, which puts an entire spin on the trick-taking genre, which is usually very competitive and all about how you efficiently optimize your hand. Now you're efficiently optimizing your hands together with a lack of communication along the way. You can't talk to other players in this game. You have a minimal amount of communication that you are allowed in order to try to say, hey, I only have one of this color. I'm going to sneeze. Give me a second. I could feel it coming like 7 seconds ago, and I was trying to think whether I can talk my way past it fast enough. Wasn't going to happen. with the crew. Only $10.97 for this fantastic game that will give you a ton of fun. Plays well at 3, 4, and 5 players, which funnily enough is the player count on the box. Does not play at 1 and 2 player counts, which is not the player count on the box, but that's the crew mission Deep Sea. From there we have Cascadia coming in at $31.97. Cascadia, which I think is like the #1 family game on Board Game Geek, and I approve of that choice. I think, is it the #1 family game or is it the #1 abstract? It might be the #1 abstract. I could be wrong. It's the #1 something, or it was the #1 something, but Cascadia is incredible. I love this game. It is my favorite still to date of the Flat Out Games series of games. I love Verdant, I love Cascadia, I love Calico. I like Fit to Print, but I like these 3 a whole lot more. And Cascadia from those 3 is my favorite, although Calico does have my favorite solo mode. And so Cascadia 31.97 is the one I picked for this list because it is a great game that has a good solo mode. I've already played this like 5 times solo. I need to keep going. I want to finish the whole entire solo challenge. I played at a variety of player counts, and it's just consistently fun as you have just tons of cards like mixed in the various ways you have this scoring combination. Every turn you take a tile and like these little animal tiles, and you're trying to mix together the terrain and the animals to try to score based on the various animals. You see, you have different animal cards in play, giving you different scoring criteria. And Cascadia is just very simple, very easy to teach, very rewarding to play through. It is a great gateway game, it's a great abstract game, and it's only $31.97. From there we have Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion over here, coming in at $34.97. There's just too much game in this box to not include it, plus it gives us that miniature and dungeon crawler genre on the table, which tend to be a little more expensive if you want to get your hands on those, but if you want to try something along those lines, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion is both relatively affordable, as well as a great game. This is like in the top 20 or top 30 games on Board Game Geek. It is well loved, it is the derivative version of Gloomhaven, but it's easier to jump into. This should be your jumping entry point into Gloomhaven to see if Gloomhaven is or isn't a game for you. It'll give you a ton of gameplay, a ton of character development. It gives you 4 characters to go through and to learn and to develop from them. It does not give you the behemoth that Gloomhaven does, but it also does not give you the behemoth that Gloomhaven does, for better and for worse. At $34.97, this is a great way to jump into whether or not this game system, or even dungeon crawlers in general, although it's worth noting that Gloomhaven is different than other dungeon crawlers in terms of the more Euro approach to the card management puzzle of the game. But overall, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, fantastic game. From there we have The Loop, one of my personal favorites from this past year. The Loop is $34.97, and for me, it's kind of a similar gameplay vibe that I get from Vindication. Now, I prefer Vindication, but Vindication is like a $90 game, and The Loop is the $34.97, and being very, very close. For me, it's very close in terms of the puzzle that I get out of it. What I love about The Loop from Pandasaurus Games is that it's a cooperative puzzle, which means, first of all, it's already hitting the solo play. So we have Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, that will hit your solo play in terms of this list, me trying to give you different modes of play, and The Loop will be the other solo game on this list. The rest of them are unfortunately not soloable. Arnak, technically, that's not true, I don't know what I'm talking about. Arnak and Cascadia. Cascadia is definitely soloable and good at that. Arnak, I don't know if I loved it as a solo game, and Welcome to the Moon is, just ignore me, they're mostly soloable. Anyways, The Loop is a cooperative puzzle of trying to ensure that you don't have your various areas of the board, your errors in time overwhelmed by these disruption cubes that are going to be dropping from a tower. You have your characters, and you have your cards, and you're trying to figure out the optimal puzzle as you play through a variety of different scenarios. There's a ton of gameplay in this box, even more if you get the expansions, although that's not included in the price point over here. But The Loop is just a fun game little puzzle of trying to figure out how to use your powers, how to trigger your loops, which is where you basically pay energy to refresh some of your cards. You can do this as many times as you want, but it keeps getting more expensive in the energy cost, but it lends itself to some phenomenally rewarding turns as you play through this. At $34.97, The Loop is absolutely fantastic, giving you a solid puzzle, giving you solo play, giving you cooperative play. I wouldn't recommend it at more than 3 players personally. I think the box says goes to 4. Honestly, for me, 2 players has been my favorite. 1 player is great, 3 players is great, 4 drags a little bit, but it's a phenomenal experience. I highly recommend it. Then we have Welcome to the Moon at $35.99. This is going to give you some of your campaign stuff going on over here. We have more than 1 campaign game. In fact, we have a campaign game and a legacy game here to work with. But over here, Welcome to the Moon is going to give you a roll and write adventure from the Welcome to line of games. This is going to be the main, is the only roll and write that we have here, but it's the only roll and write because it gives you 8 roll and writes in the box. There are 8 maps in this box. You can go through them one at a time. It does not have to be a campaign. You can go through them one at a time, simply having fun with it, or you can actually go through a story and a campaign and unlock more cards and more things as you go through the puzzle. But effectively, every single round you draw a few cards, and then you try to take an action with one of the rows of cards and action combinations, and all the players are doing the same thing, except they're all making the same choice. They're not necessarily doing the same thing. They have the same options to choose from as they try to figure out how to most efficiently fill their grid and get the scoring options that are on that particular puzzle. The game comes with 8 different iterative maps that you'll go through. I do not think they are all excellent. I think they range from good to excellent, and you'll probably find the ones that work best for you, but it gives you variety, consistently good gameplay, and just an overall enjoyable experience with campaign and not legacy elements, but like unlockable elements as you go through the game as well. A whole lot of game in this box for $35.99. Then we have Targi, which is an absolute steal at $14.47 for this game. Targi is an absolute steal. You see, Targi over here is a 2-player worker placement game, which means we already have worker placement from Lost in Arnak, but I do love myself some worker placement. I'm not averse to having some more of it on the table, and Targi is just a delightful 2-player worker placement puzzle as you spend your time placing your Targis, are they Targis? I think they're called Targis, I'm not sure. Placing your workers as you try to both get the cards you need while blocking your opponents. This game is also available to play on Board Game Arena. In fact, a few of these games, we have Lost in Arnak on Board Game Arena. Cascadia has a little solo option online. This just, like, I think it's fine. I think, are we fine? Did everything just fall apart? Everything's kind of, nope. Let's see. Give me a second while I try to manage this. Yep, a few coins got knocked around. That led itself to this box being pushed a drop out of, nope. Give me a second here. Give me a second now. I need to get my coins all straight. Anyways, Targi is available on Board Game Arena, as is My City, as is Lost in Arnak. Cascadia has an online implementation. The Mission Deep Sea, the Crew Mission Deep Sea, I think is available on Board Game Arena as well. So there's lots of online play if you want to try these games out and see if they are for you or not. But anyways, Targi, a delightful head-to-head blocking experience for 2 players as you get in each other's way while also trying to achieve your own goals. It's tight, it's tense, it's well done. It plays longer than you'd think. This is not like a 10-minute game. This is like a 45-minute long game because there's a lot of thought process behind how you actually approach the game every single time you play it. From there, we actually start to diversify a bit. You see, here we can go a few directions. Option 1, if you want to get to as close as possible to $230 as possible, you can get to $229 and I think it was 97 cents, I believe, which is pretty darn close. I have to double check the exact math. But Watergate coming in at, I think it was $31.97, or no, it was $27.97. Yes, no, so it was $229.28. Okay, so coming in at $229.28, we have Watergate. Now, we would have to ignore My City and Radlands for this total, because we have 3 different options for your smorgasbord of selections here. Watergate would be a delightful 2-player experience that I really enjoy, that is a head-to-head battling game from Matthias Kramer, and it's one that gives you that sense of tug-of-war that I think this gives me the experience I get out of Twilight Struggle, but it gives it to me at a cheaper price point in a 30-minute experience, and one that I'm far more likely to dive into and I enjoy so much, and there's far, far less dice rolling in the game. I love this game. I think it's incredible. I highly recommend it from Capstone Games for $27.97, which would bring your grand total to, again, just shy of $230, $229.28. I think it's as pretty close as you can get. Now, I did proxy this out for 2 reasons. One is because I saw My City at $24.97. I was like, how could I not include the amount of gameplay you get out of My City on this list? And 2 is I already had, between a few of these options here, I already had like 2-player... I already had Targi, that's what it was. I already had Targi, and I felt Watergate fell into a similar spot as Targi. And so I threw in Radlands. I threw in My City instead at $24.97, which would instead, you save $3. Now you're only at $226.28, which means you're even saving money. You're not even spending the same much as Elder Scrolls, and My City will give you 24 games in a box, 48 games if you are playing at 2 players. And if you're like, why is there a specific player count? It's because My City is a campaign legacy system. It's legacy. You're destroying things as you go. You cannot keep playing this game. But My City gives you a half-hour game of little polyomino placement. That's going to be your only polyomino game on this list, and you know how much I love polyominoes. I couldn't not include it, which is why Watergate's not here. And so My City will give you a polyomino game for about half an hour for 2 to 4 players, and then you go into the next one, which unlocks new things, new rules, new mechanics, new stuff gets slowly unlocked, stickers you place on your board. The game is evolving, you're writing down your scores, you're filling little dots, things are happening in the game, and the game is changing forever. You do that across 24 plays, around 12 hours of gameplay, a half hour per game, and it's addicting. You'll play 3 or 4 in a single session because of just how much fun and compelling it is, giving you 24 plays in what I think is one of the best campaign games to start with, legacy games to start with, because of how accessible and appealing it is. Now, it is on the lighter side. Take that into account as you go through it, but overall, it'll just give you a ton of fun to go through it over here. And then as well, if you're playing it only 2-player, I have to pause to remember where I was over there. If you're playing it only 2 players, then you can actually play it again, because since the game accommodates 4, that means if you're only playing with 2 players, you can actually go through the other 2 players components and play the entire thing one more time and get 48 plays, 24 hours of gameplay out of this experience, and it's such an enjoyable, rewarding 24 hours of gameplay in the box. And then lastly, because honestly, if we're at $226.28, I couldn't not try to cheat a little bit and throw something else in on the top, which is why, and Chip Theory, I apologize, now we move into non-fair comparisons, because adding in Radlands at $17.97 would bring you to $244.25, but we had to go over. So take this with a grain of salt. If you want this pile, this is all cheaper than the Elder Scrolls. If you want to throw in Radlands, because I do recommend it, I think it's an excellent game, you're going to start spending a little bit more. Do take that into account, but it's Radlands, so how could you not? And I couldn't find something for $3 that was worth your time and attention. I mean, maybe a pack of sleeves, I don't know. Radlands coming in at $17.97 is going to give you a two-player, not deck building, two-player card system as you try to play cards and take down your opponent. I enjoyed this one a lot. I love the aesthetic. I love the gameplay. I find it packs so much into a small box at a relatively affordable price point. Relatively affordable. At an incredibly affordable price point of $17.97. So again, we have three configurations. We have Watergate, no My City, no Radlands. That'll bring you as close to $230 as I can get while recommending games that I enjoy, love, and think you should have in your collection. Or we go a little bit below, but we proxy out My City. We save ourselves $3. We're even doing ourselves a favor. Or you just go a drop above and throw Radlands into the mix. Now, if you're not convinced just yet, because if you want more reasons not to back the Elder Scrolls, I recommend checking out my friend Chris George, Room and Board, has a 5 reasons why you should not back Elder Scrolls video. And that's another. If you are looking for more opportunities, more reasons, more excuses, he is wrong about the part where it's not basically too many bones. We'll have that conversation another time. But the other 4 reasons are fantastic. I highly recommend checking out that video. At the end of the day, I am absolutely backing the Elder Scrolls, Betrayal of a Second Era. And I will be talking about that in other videos. I'll be doing a should you back it on the campaign at some point. I'll be talking about it in my 2 back and not to backs as we go over the videos and over the campaigns out there. I am excited about the game, and I think it's excellent. I do. I think it's excellent. I think it has a place. I think it is accessible. I think it is very comparable to Too Many Bones, but I think it's more accessible than Too Many Bones, while being different enough to also be worth owning both, potentially, if you are actually the kind of person who's going to actually play them. I think there's a lot of good gameplay there, and it's a premium system that is incredibly fun, very good at what it does, and will offer you an absolute ton of gameplay with a ton of variety to the ways you will approach it, and it will be the kind of thing that if you do buy it, you will probably enjoy it. You will certainly not have to worry about getting your money back. If you don't like it, you can sell it for most of what you paid for it. Not a problem at all. So it's not a risky back. It is something that you can go ahead and get your hands on if you so want it, and it is a good game. I highly recommend it. I also think that spending $230 on a board game, sometimes it helps to understand that this is the alternative. This over here is the alternative to buying the Elder Scrolls. I'm not saying don't buy the Elder Scrolls. I'm saying that this should be a wake-up call before you do spend that much money to ensure that your own spending is distributed in ways that make sense for you. I'm somebody who's going to own all of this and the Elder Scrolls. I love board games, and I have room for both the incredibly affordable, amazing experiences. Forget this, $10.97 for the Crew Mission Deep Sea. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much gameplay you get out of this experience? Do you know how fun this is and how enjoyable it is? But you can also have $230 for the Elder Scrolls, and they're just different conversations about what kind of experiences you want. It's the same reason why you might get a burger and a steak and have those both in your menu. They are different price points, different things for different moments, different occasions. But back and spend responsibly. If you want the game, get the game. But get it while understanding what the alternatives are. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And you know what? Let's do this for the end of the video. If you're really dedicated, if you do want to throw together the homework, throw down below in the comments, put together your $230 worth of board games that you'd recommend. It's not about going cheap, it's about going good and affordable. Find that balance, find the anywhere between 5 to 20 games you want to recommend that bundles up, that adds up to $230 that you think makes for a great board game purchase. Ideally from a single place, by the way, just for like convenience. I picked one place, I didn't price shop. Here's your Gamenerdz order, enjoy. Also, you're welcome to Gamenerdz. You should really sponsor me sometime. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.